Okay, so today we're going to be showing off BSP, which stands for Binary Space Partitioning, which is the method of using shapes and substances to create geometry in Unreal Engine for your levels and such. So when you first open up Unreal, you're going to be in the place one, and you'll be under Basic. We want to go into Geometry. And you'll notice that we have 7 different options here in different shapes. The obvious one is the box and the sphere. We're going to go through them one by one and cover a bit of the details panel. So first we'll just drag out the box. It's pretty standard. It's a square. It's a cube rather. You will only notice that when you move it, only the outline will move, and you can also phase it through objects at no disadvantage. You'll notice on the right here that we have the standard transform tools, but we also have different kinds of brush types. We have additive and subtractive. The additive does it as it says and will add to the level. The subtractive will obviously remove, so if we drag another box and we place it slightly through it and then change it into subtractive, you'll see that it has removed the overlapping cube from the other cube. Under that is the brush shape, so you don't need to drag in one if you place it in the wrong space. The tetrahedron is the sphere. Due to Unreal not being inherently capable of processing spheres through BSP. You can also make it hollow, and then the XYZ to adjust the size of it. It is possible to adjust the scale using the transform, however it is much more accurate to use the XYZ under the brush. So we'll say make it 800X, 800Y, and 500Z. Keep in mind that all the measurements will come from the origin, so it will shrink both up and down if you were to make it smaller, as you can see. So we'll just put that back. Since it's hollow, if we drag in another box and then clip it through the wall and make it subtractive, you can see that we can go inside, thus making it incredibly easy to make buildings. All you need is 2 boxes at the right size. And then tessellated determines on whether or not there should be extra faces for each face. So that is the box. The rest of the items are essentially the same, just in different shapes. Anything that would normally be a curved obviously shows up in sides. If you want, you can set it to as many sides as possible, which will give it the illusion of being curved, although it is very hard to material this later on, unless you do it initially. So there's a cone, there's a cylinder, then we have curved stairs, which are stairs that curve but are less likely to come back. You can adjust angle to any amount you want, so if it's a really shallow curve or whatever, you can adjust each individual step height, the number of steps, the distance below the first step. So the add the step is just how far you want, if you want extra on the bottom, so if you wanted to go through something. The step width will adjust each individual width as well, and the inner radius will determine how big the circle will be if we add more angle to it. So the inner radius will make it tighter or larger, combined with the step width to make the stairs as big as you want. Linear stairs, much the same tools, step length, height, width. Length will obviously make it go further. Number of steps, add the step is also the same. The spiral stair is similar to the curved stair, but it always ends up 360 degrees initially. If you keep adding steps, you can obviously add more, and you can adjust the amount of steps per 360 degrees. So you can make it not very many or a lot. Inner radius, step width, step height, and step thickness, they're all the same. The slope ceiling determines if you want the bottom of it to be sloped, and then you can also have a sloped floor for traps or anything like that, and you can also adjust it so it goes counterclockwise instead. Then there's the sphere, which is a tetrahedron in this case. There is no way to add more faces to it, so unfortunately this is as curvy as you're going to get. However, tessellation instead makes it more curvy. Each individual one of these is a face, so individual materialing is possible. In order to actually apply a material to BSP, you can do it one of two ways. You can just select your material down here, which is the brick in this case, and just drag it onto the face, like so. You have to apply to using this method means that you have to apply it to each individual face. Or if you have the material selected and then you drag out from the BSP, it'll automatically apply it to all faces on it. I believe even if it is hollow. Even if it's hollow, it will apply the material to all the faces on the object. It goes for all of these, so if you want something extremely curved, this is the way to make it. However, if your textures are optimized for square materials, this will not work as well. So just as a quick demonstration, real quick, I'll make a house for our level. So make it 1500 wide both ways, and then make it 500 high. Might be a bit too large. Cut it in half. We will have it clip through the ground slightly, just to make applying a floor easier. We'll zoom out, we'll bring in another box, and then we will cut into it. We'll make this hollow, and as you can see we have in here, we'll bring in another box. We will mirror the dimensions on the X and Z and make this thinner. If we clip through slightly, and move it on back so it overlaps. Now we have a separate surface, so we'll just use the starter content. Whether or not you have these entirely depends on what you've downloaded. So let's say we want a nice wooden floor. There we go. Then let's go inside. Let's just use the basic wall. It's white, it's a bit plain, but just apply it to all these. Also apply it to the roof, and you know, looks pretty standard. So, and then using the 5th tab at the top, if we click on geometry editing, we click on the main building, you can see that we can see the skeleton of the building. Let's actually make the wall a bit thicker, just to make this a little more evident. So on the left here, you can see that we've got create. So you can, if you select several vertices, apologies, you can create a new polygon. You can delete elements, so edges, vertices. You can flip these, so it's a little tricky to use. It doesn't really work well on cubes, so we'll just unflip it. You can split things. You can cut this down into triangles, as you can see. You can also optimize, which will if we do this, it'll turn the entire thing into one polygon instead of having several triangles. And then turn and weld. Weld will, if we do this, it'll merge any point, any line going to that vertex will immediately go to that vertex instead. And then turn. Turn requires you to triangulate, and then when we click on this line and hit turn, it will make the triangle face the other way, which in this case extends it to the opposite two vertices. So for this house that we're making, we want it to have a nice roof, so we will click on this edge here, we will click split, and you can see it splits the entire house in half. So if we select just this line and drag it up, we'll have a nice triangle roof with a nice flat inside. Of course, if this wasn't hollow and you hollowed it out afterwards, the inside would be dragged up as well, but that's fine. So for our roof, we'll use ceramic tiles. So we'll go back to the place mode, and then we will drag these ceramic tiles on top, just as a kind of de facto roof, and that is essentially it. You can split these other ways as well, so we go back into the geometry, click on this line, hang on, click on this line, we'll split this. This will split this entire house in half, so we can make it weird, like drag this outside but still have it be perfectly flat on the inside. And we could do the same in here, so click on this line, drag it back, we'll have this, but it'll still be flat on the outside. We'll just undo those. Once this is done, you will want to build your lighting, so we'll do that real quick. Depending on how complex your BSP is, this may or may not take a while, and that will properly light your house for you. You can place in lights, so place in some point lights, just like this. Rebuild our lighting. And as you can see, it's lit up properly. The atmospheric light will also shine in as well. You can also add in, say, if we drag in more, we could just add in some windows. Y of, say, 50. It's a large window, but just drag this through the wall, make it subtractive. And there's a nice little porthole window. If we even do it on the side where the sun is coming in, it will obviously drag in more light, and the shadows are automatically built around it. That's pretty much it for the BSP. All the other shapes work the exact same. It entirely depends on what you want to create. that's it.